Engstrom.
Here.
Councilman Zipperich.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan. Here. Councilwoman Schwalbenbauer. Here. Councilman Taylor.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here. Sunshine State, please.
Let the minutes reflect that in compliance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231 of the Public Meetings Act, the notice of this meeting has been provided by notifying the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Star Ledger, and placing a notice on the Lowest Board and finding the same with the Borough Clerk on January 1, 2017.
Thank you. For workshop this evening, we have a number of brief items that we're going to touch on. The first is the Green Business Recognition Program. We'll pass on that. How about the trolley ordinance?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll actually, if you don't mind, I'll do the trolley and the parking just so I can do both of them real quick. Do you mind if I just do two of them that are concerned the parking committee?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I actually wanted to just start with the parking ordinances, which is the last one on there. After multiple meetings with the parking committee, after meetings with River Center, I want to thank your help for the collectively coming together and realizing that outside of Rook, you'll see in front of, across street from Rook, in front of Dish, there's a loading zone. And we've been talking about this for a long time and how it's really not used for a loading zone. We talked to a lot of the local businesses. The only time anyone's actually in that loading zone is either at 5 in the morning or very, very late at night. So we actually think we can put at a minimum 2 more parking spots there. Either it would be 1 15-minute and 1 regular spot, and if we can fit 3, it would be 2 regular spots and 1 15-minute meter. But we've been talking about it. The park committee met about this a couple times. So between Cliff's help, River Center's help, and the parking committee, we think this is a good idea to just keep collectively thinking how we can add more inventory with what we have. So we'll hopefully add 3 more spots. At a minimum, there will be 2. So we look forward to adding that hopefully to the agenda and getting that done. And DPW will get on that right away. So it's exciting on that front. And then the other one was the trolley system. About a year ago as well, we talked about exploring a possible shuttle, a loop around the downtown. And the company that we would talk to that does this in other towns, like in Asbury and Belmar, they have these shuttle systems. It didn't necessarily fit for Red Bank. But we found a guy who would pretty much would do 100% take on all of the responsibilities, the insurance, the hiring, it would be literally the borough would have to do absolutely nothing. And it's a really cool, innovative kind of creativity where they're interactive, the seats are facing each other, and it would just be a constant loop. So we're currently working with the police chief on the route, DPW, parking, all of the River Center. I mean, everyone kind of involved in this, but we think we'll be able to get this done. It's going to be at least do a trial period, maybe 60 to 90 days. But we think it'll be really fun and cool and creative. I sent pictures to Eric and Ed today about what they would look like, but it's just a really cool thing. I think it's fun for Red Bank to explore, and that we have to really do absolutely nothing, and it's something we can provide for people coming into town and for going, whether it's from the Galleria to Red Rock to the theater to kind of the different destinations in the town to kind of just go around and explore the downtown. So exciting stuff. I'm working with Greg Cannon about the legalities of it, what we'd have to do to finalize that, place it into action, but it's coming and we're excited about it.
I think it's a great idea, and it certainly provides a different mode of transportation. You're not just people who live here, but people who get off the train, and maybe cleaner and nicer transportation for people getting off the train. And we welcome it. And it's not going to cost us a penny, and I think it's going to be great. So the only thing we have to do is change the ordinance to permit that, because the ordinance has no provisions in it. So I think we can fast track it and get it done. Any problems with anybody? Great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, now we go to historic preservation. Ed.
Thanks, Mayor. Historic Preservation Commission's worked on and added a historic element to the master plan years back. The element itself provides a framework that the borough should abide by. I met with the Director of Planning and Zoning and some concerned citizens who have a variety of concerns both in the business district and in the Washington Street Historic District. And some of these concerns include serious removal of the historic fabric of the town, such as storefronts and display windows. They addressed enclosures on front porches in the historic district of Washington Street, along with paving of front yards for parking where none exists in that district because of the age that it was constructed in. Other modifications in historic homes and their properties are guided by the Historic Preservation Commission in its advisory capacity, but the Historic Preservation Commission and other concerned residents feel that the current historic ordinance is lacking in some enforcement issues and guidance. So basically the question comes before the council is, how does this council feel, in working with past council members? I know how they felt about historic preservation and protections, but that was the charge from the Director of Planning and Zoning. How do we feel?
Well, can't speak for everybody on the dais, but I think that I can make any assurances that is, if you'll recall, I was one of the co-authors of the Red Bank Historic Preservation Ordinance that resulted from a ghastly attack on the integrity of architectural integrity by a certain developer many years ago when I was on the council, overnight. So, what we have was an immediate reaction to that. I think that we've learned since then that certain areas of the town need a little bit more TLC in terms of attention. Certainly the Washington Street Historic District, that you were instrumental in putting in hundreds of hours with the commission and with, I see Mark Fitzsimmons is here in the audience, to create was certainly an extraordinary effort. And I think that we should give it more attention as we've developed. I don't see anything inconsistent with historic preservation and a vision for clear, crisp, urbanist development. They are not inconsistent. They are parallel. You can have the greatest type of construction using elemental aspects of any historic design and ideas. It's been done extraordinarily well in the District of Columbia. It's certainly done in New York, and even in the James Street Commons project in Newark, as well as in the down that area of Newark and a number of other places, extraordinarily well. So I think we should look into it. I think that I certainly welcome a broadening of protections, and I don't see it as necessarily an impediment. I see it as an opportunity for those initiatives to be included in a forward-looking vision for the municipality to keep us competitive. And I certainly think that as we move forward with certain areas in need of rehabilitation, even though they may not include historic structures, I think that is consistent with what I've said before, which hopefully we will have some RFQs regarding architectural design services, because some of the projects that were approved when we were coming into the ambit of redevelopment years ago don't necessarily meet sound architectural principles, and I think that we ought to be more careful as we move forward. So I think it's good stuff. Anybody have any problem with moving forward with some ideas that we'll get from historic preservation, and we'll take a look at it and massage it?
Thank you.
I think we're willing to look at anything, right? I think once we have something in front of us that we can react to, I think we're more likely to have a more informed view. Thanks.
Other than that, we have the Green Business Recognition Program. Eric, or the Marine Park, yeah, but are you going to deal with what? Good deal. Okay. I don't know if you were waiting for Stanley on that or not. Go ahead.
Me too.
Take it.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar, we are in the process of recertifying Red Bank as a sustainable Jersey town. This helps us have access to certain grant projects. This is with a typically environmentally friendly focus. So part of that endeavor, the Green Team has put forward this possible program, which the Red Bank Green Business Recognition Program will allow the borough to highlight the sustainable choices of our business community. The voluntary program is a unique opportunity to combine the program resources of the New Jersey Sustainable Business Registry, Clean Water Action, and Sustainable Jersey. By introducing these resources to businesses and proudly recognizing their efforts, the borough can credibly assert environmental responsibility as a priority. With this and other initiatives, we will foster a sense of community through action. So this is a partnership. There's already a program going on through Clean Water Action that Pete Tribbiano is heading up, but that is focused solely on restaurants, and it's the Rethink Disposable initiative. They are trying to get restaurants basically to cut down their disposable waste before it gets into the consumer's hand. This would be a program that would be a little broader than that. It would apply to all of the business ventures in Red Bank. It would be again a voluntary program, but it's simply a way for businesses who are green-minded, want to be more green-minded, are looking for ways to be able to save money. The audits that we can provide would help businesses be more efficient and help the environment. So this is just a voluntary program. Eventually, we would have the registry would have certain criteria they would have to meet, and then we would probably be able to give them a logo or a window claim or something, some sort of sticker to recognize that they're a participant in the program and let the community know that's a green-friendly business. So it's just an initiative coming out of the EC and the Green Team as part of our Sustainable Jersey efforts. And I think it's honestly, I think it's a home run for Red Bank.
I think it's a great idea, but I hate to pour some oil on the fire here. I think it's a great idea. We should do it. However, it reminds me that the Code Enforcement Committee and the ordinances group were supposed to, about 6 months ago, come up with a procedure to really address something which is environmental as part of the Green Team initiatives. But it's with respect to our grease trap ordinance, because most of the problems in our downtown in terms of the grease traps having problems that cause everybody a lot of money in terms of cleaning them out is that a number of the food service establishments do not on a regular basis address those issues. I think what we talked about, maybe you can incorporate it as part of this, because it is environmental, is that every food service establishment on an annual basis has to provide a certification by a licensed certifier, a certified person in that business, that certifies to the borough on an annual basis, preferably like, first month of the year, that the grease traps have in fact been serviced, they've been maintained or cleaned, and they're consistent with what they're supposed to be doing. We've been trying to get around this somehow. I just don't see how you're going to do it. The best way to do it is self-policing, but not self-policing by the owner themselves, self-policing by a certified company that does it and submit those certifications. I think it's part of the initiative.
Certainly happy to incorporate that. Is it more of a health inspection, or is it just simply an impact of the infrastructure?
It's been going back and forth between the health department and the code enforcement department, and all I'm saying is let's get it off the table, because it's something which we have to do, because Public Works is dealing with the aftermath of that, and it costs everybody a lot more money when we take care of the problem after there's a problem. We're trying to prevent the problem, and for years we've been talking about a self-policing. But the self-policing is not going to work. It's going to have to be done by third party, and they can still self-police it, but it's got to be filed every year.
Yeah, part of the issue there, Mark, is the grease trap inspections aren't happening.
Well, that's my question. Is it a health department or is it a borough department? I don't know. That's the question.
So
It's in between. So all I'm saying is that we're talking about doing something good. Let's incorporate it in and let's get it out of the way.
And the other side of the issue is that not all of the grease that goes out of a restaurant or a food service establishment goes through that grease trap. A lot of the residue and whatnot that are on the dishes and silverware, et cetera, go through the dishwasher, and the grease still gets into our system, and that's part of the issues that we're having, especially in the downtown, when we have to open up the manhole and go in and jet and clean and so on and so forth. So I think the mayor's initiative is to sort of help alleviate as much of that, make sure that everybody is compliant as best as possible.
Absolutely. This recognition program is a little bit broader than that. I mean, we can drill down to that and make that a separate requirement. I think because this is a voluntary program, I think if we're doing something with an annual inspection and reporting, that needs to be a mandatory matter. So certainly something else we can.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that while I'm talking about that,
I'm not sure who's authority to implement that. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
All right,
If you don't mind,
clarify that, Tom.
I'll quickly speak to that. This year, in my experience in town here for 17 years, first time ever health department required a certified, stamped document from a licensed grease trap cleaner to be present for my pool of health, my health department. So it's actually in place.
It's not in our ordinance, that's what I'm saying.
No, but
It's not
it
in the
is
ordinance.
required by the county, which takes care of the health department in town. So just want to let you know, and that's never happened before, so they're probably stepping up the game a little bit. Just figured I'd share that with you.
All I'm saying is it's got to be uniform. That's what
Certainly.
it is.
At a minimum, we can adopt the county standards if
Right.
we don't have it. Just make that part of our ordinance.
Okay, Eric, you're on board.
Thank you. We have on workshop tonight is this Marine Park RFP that Councilman Taylor, Councilwoman Horgan, and myself and Charlie, the Parks and Rec, have been working on for a few months. This RFP is designed to find a consultant to assist with the soliciting of public input and guiding of the process, which will ultimately lead to a final concept plan for Marine Park. Marine Park's was damaged in Sandy 6 years ago, and we really have to figure out what we want to do down there. So this consultant is similar to one that we used for Riverside Gardens Park, which turned out to be a great use of borough money because that park has become one of the main focus points of our town. So Mark, Kathy, and myself have been working on this, and we'd like to get this moving so we can get in some proposals by September 22nd would be when the proposals are due by. So if anybody has any questions or concerns about it,
Is it an RFP or an RFQ?
be an RFP. Or, sorry, it's an RFQ, request for qualifications.
So by the 22nd, we're not going to see any ideas from any of these people about what they want to see. They're just soliciting their qualifications to
Yeah,
do.
just
We
an RFQ.
we bring them in and then they work with the community to come up with designs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody on board with that? Let's see what they come back up with in terms of what their proposal is, and then we can always talk about it then. Anything else? If not, approval of the minutes for August 9th. Motion? So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
There are no appointments this evening. Reports from mayor and council committee members. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The summer camp was wrapped up last week. I wanted to thank all the counselors, parents, and campers, especially Nicole Matarazzo and Rose Cicito, who were our supervisors. The rec department also appreciates the collective efforts of the police, fire, DPW, and the schools for making the summer a successful one. We actually have a lot of events this week and next week. Tomorrow is the final concert in Riverside Gardens featuring Oscar Perez. Friday, we're having the Count Basie 365 at Johnny Jazz Park on Shrewsbury Avenue, featuring the Bell Trump Johnson Trio. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. And then next Tuesday, the 29th, is the Dog Days on Monmouth Street from 6 to 8 p.m. And also next Wednesday, 8:30, well, August 30, 2017 at 5 p.m., we'll be having a public meeting for the Bellhaven concept plan with T&M. So they took back a lot of the complaints and criticisms of their last plan, and they readjusted it, and they're going to have this unveiling of this concept plan, and we want all the public's input on that. So, thank you.
Ed?
Thanks, Mayor. Last Wednesday, the River Center Board of Directors held their quarterly meeting where they discussed their open letter on parking with the board members that was addressed to the mayor and council. I wanted to thank them for their active and spirited conversation and discussion. And I also wanted to thank those who helped organize and stand in solidarity against hatred and the white supremacists this past week following the Charlottesville debacle. I have to thank the Human Relations Advisory Committee, Pastor Porter, Pilgrim Baptist Church, the mayor, for helping to organize together with Citizens for a Diverse and Open Society and the Greater Red Bank Women's Initiative. Everybody took to the streets in a peaceful fashion, and the Red Bank Police Department stepped up to make sure that everybody was safe should there be any unpleasant altercations. When those of us on this dais look to our community for support and involvement, I remind each and every person here in this chamber tonight why I stand by my vote on a welcoming and inclusive community, the resolution that was offered in April. And that's because hate and bigotry have no place in our cool little town. It is what we have hashtagged Red Bank for All. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy?
I really don't have anything except to say that I was pleased to see so many residents and other people coming out for the 2 rallies. I think it does show that there are more good than bad people in this world, and I hope that we can somehow all come together and find a solution so we can live peacefully. So thank you all who came out.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to be brief. I was at the rally as well, and it was nice to have everyone together from different religions, different council members. It was a really nice night to be a community. Just want to thank the Stu Jensen, the first deputy fire chief. We had a CPR class that kicked off this past weekend, and it was incredible. More people than we thought. We're already going to try to set up our 2nd and 3rd classes. So I want to thank Stu Jensen, Ryan Chippendale. So I know it's going to make Mr. Soden happy. Nice guy coming out of Union. But it was a great day. I want to thank our EMS volunteers who came out and took the day to train the Good Samaritans, the people that might have to respond in the moment of crisis, that you could maybe save a life. So that was an excellent class. I'm happy that we're adding more spots on Broad Street. I think now the parking committee has added 2 on Broad. We took out the dedicated left, 2 in front of Rook, 3 at the Colony House. So River Center, that's 7 spots in a year. We're getting closer to the magic 500 number. We're chipping away 7 spots in a year, but now it's 443 or 493. 493.
That'll make Jay Herman.
We're getting close, but I know everyone has been patiently waiting since the RFPs came in. We have been working with the redevelopment attorneys, and I'm hoping that this is the last council meeting we're going to have to say. I really have no report on it and no update. I know Mr. Forrest is going to come up here and ask about the report. There's nothing right now, but I'm hoping that this is the last time that I'm going to have to say that. So we're hoping that we'll be able to come together and work out this lawsuit. But there's just no update as of right now. Still working on it.
Mark? Thank you, Mayor. Last night at the Environmental Commission meeting, we had a presentation by Vicki Thompson from the Monmouth County Mosquito Commission. It was actually quite informative. There's quite a bit that we can do as humans. We tend to not realize how much of an impact we have when we leave things in our yard, whether it's a watering can or even just pieces of plastic or anything that can collect water. They can be as small as a half an inch of water can incubate mosquitoes, and that can cause significant diseases to be spread, as well as just obviously the inconvenience and annoyance of dealing with these pests. So the information, I have a lot of the information. We'll also be dispersing that literature at our back-to-school cleanup at the primary school, which is this Saturday, from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So any volunteers are welcome to help join us. We had a donation from Fairhaven Hardware, which was nice. They donated some gloves. I just got an email this morning from a student activities coordinator at Brookdale. They're sending some volunteer students down, so it's going to be a nice community event. Hopefully we have good weather, and if we don't, we're just going to work that much harder to get done faster. So I also mentioned already in the workshop portion the Green Business Recognition Program, and we are also full steam ahead for our Sustainable Jersey certification. We're on track for that. Our fall deadline is looming, but we're getting our ducks in a row, getting all our documentation I's dotted and T's crossed. So that's pretty much what I have.
Thank you. Linda?
Okay, and now the finance and accounting report. You can see you're all on the edge of your seats. We have our one of our largest line items in the budget is really our retiree health costs, and we're talking about this earlier in the year, Eugenia and I, and we wanted to see, is that number appropriate and should we audit it? So we undertook an audit, and I'm happy to say that the audit has concluded. We have about 94 retirees that we're paying benefits for, and after auditing all of the retirees who have dependents, we discovered that there are a number of them who have ineligible dependents, so we're taking those off of our rolls, which actually saves us liability down the road, so that's important. And the related premium savings are, $31,000, so not huge, but nothing either. So that was good. I'm glad that we undertook that. I'm glad we got some good results from it. So I want to thank Eugenia for that, and thank Stanley also for his leadership. And that's that. We'll keep our eye on the ball here, because I think there's other aspects of this we can look at as well. But it's never really been studied before, so that's why we're looking at it. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to go into the regular part of the meeting. Just for purposes of the public, we will have a public hearing in a few minutes on the tonnage limitation proposed for Ridge Avenue. So other than that, does any other member of the public have any questions or remarks concerning any resolutions or ordinances on this evening's calendar? If not, motion to close.
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, for ordinances, for first, I'm sorry? What are you talking about? Yeah, we're going to introduce that later. It's gonna go- where do you have it? Okay. Everybody got it? Okay, so for introduction, that is going to be introduced. Okay, good. That's very good. Ordinance 2017-29 would be the amendment to the parking ordinance, which is a time limit parking. And the only thing that this ordinance, as introduced, would do is it would create a parking slot on White Street from 8 to 6, beginning at a point 150 feet west from Broad and extending towards Maple Avenue, and White Street south for a 15-minute parking zone at a distance of 130 feet west of the intersection Broad and running for a distance of 20 feet. Motion to introduce this parking ordinance.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing, Pam, will be when? I'm sorry.
Number 9.
September 9th, 6:30. September 13th, sorry. At 6:30, yeah. The second parking ordinance would be parking ordinance 2017-36, and this would remove the loading zone on White Street South, beginning 130 feet west on the west side, running for 98 feet, which is on White Street. Motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing will be on September 13th at 6:30 p.m. Then we'll move on to ordinances for public hearing and possibly final adoption. Would be ordinance 2017-25, which is the ordinance that was proposed that would exclude trucks over 13 tons from Bridge Avenue that was carried from the August 9, 2017 meeting. I know that members of the interested public and commercial business owners generally in the area of Pearl Street as well as Central Avenue and Doctors Parker Boulevard had a meeting with the chief. I know that there was some discussion about changing the proposed ordinance or not moving forward. However, since this is the return date of the public hearing, are there any members other than the commercial owners that wish to be heard with respect to the proposed ordinance as written right now? Any members of the public, residents? Okay. Having said that, maybe before we entertain comments from the public, Chief, would you want to give us a brief synopsis, and then we'll be happy to hear from all of you who wish to be heard.
Sure. So at our meeting, we
We have
discussed.
to pick you up on the tape, so either got to stand up or sit down. Boy, it feels good to tell a chief of police to either stand up or sit down. Please.
So we discussed basically the logistics that this would create, the problems that would create for driving the trucks through town, and prohibiting tractor trailers, which was our original goal, was to allow box trucks, but then kind of prohibit tractor trailers or very large box trucks from Bridge Avenue. The problem becomes that any other route, whether it's Shrewsbury Avenue, Maple Avenue, or Newman Springs Road, all present considerable problems for people trying to drive those trucks, and which would then tie up traffic, I believe, and I think they agree with me, would tie up traffic on those main roads as the trucks try to make those turns, most notably Doctors Parker Boulevard and Shrewsbury Avenue would be the easiest route or the most direct route, but probably the most difficult route for making that turn. It would be practically impossible, I think, to do it. And we tie up traffic, which is already really bad on Shrewsbury Avenue. So unless there's a safety concern on Bridge Avenue, my own opinion is I'm not sure that we're not just creating a more problematic issue than the one that we're solving by doing this. But that's only my opinion, but I think that's essentially the crust of the meeting the other night, was that it would impact their businesses, and in that the trucks wouldn't be able to traverse the roads properly, and I tend to agree with them. Thanks.
The second part of that, I think you mentioned the last time that you were going to explore the possibility of appropriate signage for the bridge traffic, especially the truck traffic heading south on 35 coming off the bridge, to see whether or not at least the signage could be improved, that if a delivery vehicle or those types of trucks who were desirous in continuing southbound on 35 would follow the designated truck route, which would have been Shrewsbury Avenue. Have we had any luck with DOT yet on that, or?
No, DOT did correct the matter coming into Red Bank from the Shrewsbury direction back when they redesigned the intersection. Unfortunately, it usually becomes part of a larger project such as that to get DOT to do something like that. I know they do have a paving project coming up on 35 that's pretty significant. We've been working on other aspects of it with pedestrian safety with them. Worst case scenario, we can add it into that project, but it seems like it should be something that could be done easily with just some signage, and we don't have to make it part of a multi-million-dollar project. To just put up signs directing trucks back at Navasink River Road that they need to keep right or keep left to stay on the truck route and not end up in a residential neighborhood. So we can keep trying at DOT and maybe elevate the request a little bit higher to get that done. I think it won't solve the entire issue, but it'll probably make an impact on it to get less trucks in that area.
So
It's an alternative.
as I understand, it's your recommendation, Chief, and your traffic safety unit's recommendation after meeting with the commercial property owners who have been in the neighborhood for a couple of generations, that we not move forward with the proposed change. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think we should wait and try a different avenue first to see if we can help out the problem.
Okay. That's the Chief's recommendation to the members of the public who are here. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on this particular ordinance?
Mayor, if I may, I think they probably want to be heard if you're not going to go with my recommendation.
Yeah,
But,
in other words, the chief is recommending that we don't go forward. Everybody's sitting there with smiles on their face. If members of the public are in disagreement with that recommendation, perhaps now is the time to be heard.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we table indefinitely.
Well, I think that don't we have to close the public hearing? We held the public hearing. We have to close it, okay. Motion, second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, public hearing is closed. Now we can have council discussion on the issue.
I agree with the chief. I agree with the chief's recommendation. I talked to him, and I did reach out to some of the businesses, talk to them, and I think that we should either just vote no, or we just table it, whatever is easier and more efficient, just to get it over with.
Any other comments?
No, I agree with Mike. I think we just put it to bed tonight.
Right.
And these folks can go home.
Yeah, in other words, it was an idea that came to the council. It was a legitimate idea by concerned individuals, and the system works. I mean, we heard from everybody, and the council's prepared to move on the ordinance, either to reject the ordinance, either to reject it or approve. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to reject.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I know, this one is in a weird way. Okay. Yes, your motion is to reject, so are you in favor of his motion to
Yeah.
reject? Okay. Councilman Taylor? Councilman Morgan?
Yes.
I know, it's an unusual
Yes.
order, I'm sorry. Councilman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Zimbrich?
Yes.
Councilman Youngster.
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance as introduced fails, and therefore the original ordinance stands. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, or? You're welcome to go. Joe, I know the junior wants to go.
Come up with another accounting.
Mayor, while they're following that, I do want to say I do have safety concerns on bridge. That's since been remade, and I've addressed that with the chief, and hopefully we have targeted enforcement and a little bit more focus on bridge, because our, not just trucks, but cars that go way too fast, even with people in the crosswalks, taxis, Lamborghinis, you name it. The green one.
It's that, and that's a common problem when we resurface roads, is that all of a sudden they no longer have those potholes that.
And there's no natural break between Dutchess, Parkers, and Chestnut, so it can fly.
Okay, good point. We'll talk about that. Okay, moving on to resolutions. Resolutions by consent, unless there is any objection, in which case we will pull by members of the council. I would authorize the moving by consent of resolutions 17, 187, 188, 89, 90, and 91. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we go on to resolution 17-192, authorizing a change order with respect to the contract with Precise for Marine Park and Bodmin Place Pump Station for an increase of $7,660. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-193, authorizing a change order and final related to the contract with USA Contractors for the municipal complex repairs of a $14,700 decrease. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-194, authorizing tax appeal settlement regarding CA 21 Broad Street LLC for 2123 Broad Street. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-195, authorizing tax appeal settlement regarding Navasink Investments. And I'm going to have to recuse myself from that, not because I have an interest in Navasink Investments. I don't. But I am a tenant in that building. So, Council President.
Resolution 17-195, a resolution authorizing tax appeal settlement regarding Navasink Investments LLC at 151 Bodmin Place, Block 3, Lot 1.01, Red Bank, New Jersey, in the amount of $24,613.83.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, resolution 17-196, authorizing tax credits for refunds totaling $5,213.09 due to an overpayment. Motion? So moved. Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-197, authorizing refunds or tax credits totaling $15,714.76 due to a judgment of the tax court. Motion? So moved. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-198, authorizing the release of performance bond to USA General Contractors and the acceptance of a 2-year maintenance bond for the municipal complex. Motion? So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 17-198 is a resolution. 99, okay. Resolution 17-199 is a resolution establishing the Municipal Green Business Recognition Program. Motion, Mark?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? There is one proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an oral motion to release our RFQ, publish that tomorrow.
All right, that would be resolution 17-199, right? 200, okay. She doesn't number it for me. I was pretty bad at math. 17-200, which is a resolution that authorizes the administrator to release immediately the RFQs with respect to the Marine Park public participation as well as vision project. Motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I've been given one proclamation, I'm sorry, didn't have it before, but I was just granted it as I sat down. It's actually by Assemblywoman Hotelling and Assemblywoman Downing. Assemblyman Hotelling, Assemblywoman, not women, but women. It actually deals with somebody who actually we should charge rent in this building because he seems to have been, I don't know, seems to live here at every council meeting. And we get reports when he's not able to be here, so I guess he's an important person. But in any event, it reads as follows. Whereas the General Assembly of the State of New Jersey is pleased to salute and commend Freddie Boynton, a highly esteemed member of his community, upon the felicitous occasion of the 8th Annual Red Bank Community Block Party, which will take place, or has taken place on August 12th, 2017. And whereas the Red Bank Community Block Party has served the citizenry of Red Bank and the community at large as an outstanding celebration of the borough's rich diversity and indomitable spirit of togetherness. And whereas during this festive season, the people of Red Bank, exemplified by Freddie Boynton, will gather to renew and strengthen their bond of friendship, and through such praiseworthy initiatives as the Red Bank Community Block Party, the borough continues to uphold its sterling reputation as an excellent community for family living. And whereas by repeatedly demonstrating an uncommon degree of dedication to his fellow citizens, Freddie Boynton has earned the respect and admiration of all who know of his tireless efforts. And whereas it is altogether proper and fitting for the members of the House to pause in their deliberations to note the 8th Annual Red Bank Community Block Party and to recognize Freddie Boynton as an individual of outstanding character and exemplary civic mindedness. Now therefore be it resolved by the General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this House hereby honors Freddie Boynton, pays tribute to his meritorious record of community involvement, and extends sincere best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution be presented to honorary member of the Council, Fred Boynton. You're not used to this, are you? No.
Ready? More. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Now, what Freddie hasn't said yet is that because of this, he's not going to be utilizing his public participation. Thank you, Fred. Seriously, thank you for everything. We go way back to this. Okay, resolution 17201, a resolution for payment of bills being resolved by the mayor and council. The bills will be paid on the attached check registry totaling $4,609,687.97. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any old business? New business? Audience? Mr. Scavone.
Thank you. There's been much discussion since our open letter that some of you mentioned tonight on the parking garage in the press a couple of weeks ago. And I think some of that discussion has centered around a little bit of misinformation and some misinterpretation. So I wanted to just take a minute to clarify our position. Since River Center was first approached over a year and a half ago about the possibility of a garage on the White Street lot, we have remained committed and steadfast to one goal and one goal only, and that's to secure at a minimum 500 net new parking spaces in the downtown. At every step of the process, we have reiterated that goal. In meetings with elected officials and borough employees, we pushed for 500 spaces. When asked if we could support a public-private partnership rather than a borough-built and owned garage, we said yes, as long as it had 500 net new parking spaces. We sent letters to each of you last November and again in May urging you to support 500 net new parking spaces. And we sent a letter to the editor of 4 local media outlets this past June, again advocating for our position, that 500 net new spaces was essential to the health and well-being of the downtown. So it should come as no surprise to anyone, therefore, that the open letter that was published a couple weeks ago once again urged you to support a project that gives us those 500 spaces. With due respect to my colleagues in the press, the headlines in the articles about the letter were unfortunate and somewhat misleading. Let me state now that River Center is not against the proposals that were submitted in response to the RFP, nor do we think that the process should not move forward. On the contrary, we were extremely impressed by the proposals that were submitted and think that they have the potential to meet the parking requirements we've set forth while bringing exciting new development into the downtown. Additionally, we begged you to continue the process by meeting with the developers and representatives from River Center so we can stress to the developers the importance of netting 500 new spaces. We firmly believe that most, if not all, of the developers would be more than willing to provide the parking we so desperately need if given the opportunity. In fact, one developer has already assured us that he would adjust his plan considerably in order to provide the required parking. And we are confident that the other developers will follow suit. I ask you to remember one thing. This whole process was started to solve the parking crisis that has plagued our town. Do we think that residential units in the middle of the downtown are a good thing? Yes, we do. And do we think that new development will add life and vitality to downtown Red Bank? Of course. But do we think those things are more important than a viable parking solution? No, we do not. At one time or another, you have each agreed that in order for Red Bank to remain a competitive and vibrant downtown, we must solve the parking problem, and we applaud you for that. Additionally, we are truly grateful and we appreciate the efforts that you have made to get us this far in the process. But there are some who have said recently that we should abandon our advocacy for the downtown and compromise on the 500 spaces. I remind you that all of the parking studies that have been done in Red Bank over the past 20 years have put the number of parking spaces we are short at over 1,000 spaces. 500 is a compromise, especially when you consider that the number one goal of this development was to help solve the parking shortfall. We believe that the potential exists for Red Bank to have those 500 net new parking spaces, and we believe that there are a variety of ways that that can happen, including embracing one of the proposals. We also believe, however, that it can only happen if each and every one of you makes the original goal of this process your number one priority. Do what you promised from the outset and help solve Red Bank's parking crisis. I would just like to add that this position has the unanimous support of the River Center Board of Directors, which, with its 11 business representatives, 9 property owners, 2 resident reps, 2 representatives from the borough, and 3 community partners, truly reflects the makeup of downtown Red Bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Fishman.
Good evening. Tom Fishkin, Reedy's at 39 Broad Street. I don't know how I follow that. In support of it, not much left to say, but I do want to reiterate that I too, not only as a board member but as a business owner in town, feel that the importance of more inventory in town is the number one priority of our movement and hopefully of yours. And we truly do support the RFP process and what it will bring in combination with great new parking stalls. And we hope it all comes through sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ingeborg?
I support the proposals. We support the apartments. We would love to get more residents into town. Obviously, the whole process was started because we need the parking. The more, the better. But we are wholeheartedly behind you. But with 200 or 300 spaces, we're just losing the White Street lot without the parking we need. So we want to urge you to please work with us on getting 500 spaces or as close to it as you can. Thank you.
Suzanne Mosconi, 25 Cedar. Just to change gears, Mayor, you spoke tonight about. You spoke tonight, and Mr. Bridge, Councilman Bridge, about the historic district and making sure it's up to par and having good code enforcement, which is a great idea. On that note, Mayor, I believe in the first council meeting in June of this year, you asked for an update on the code and kind of where Cindy Berman picked up when she was on the council, as far as like the sandwich boards, the lighting, and there hasn't been an update since. So I was just wondering where that stood.
My understanding is that the council committee is working on it, and we'll have something very shortly. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct. We met Thursday about it, and we're hoping to have a proposal possibly as soon as the next meeting, if not the second meeting in September.
Thank you. Alan?
Good evening, Council. Alan Placer, Hobby Masters, White Street. First, I want to address Mr. Taylor with the Green Team initiative. When we went solar with our building, we took the refund from that and turned it into the most efficient lighting system that was also available, and then started a program with the residents and businesses in town where they drop off their boxes and peanuts to us and we reuse them. We did that because it makes smart business in dollar cents. We were pushed at that time by the installers of all the different equipment to go for LEED certification. Big packet that we had to fill out to get a window clean. There's no incentive for a business. We do things because it makes financial sense. So if it's possible at all for the Green Team to come up with a financial incentive for the businesses, that would be a lot better than just saying we get a window clean. I never put into the LEED because nobody's going to purchase more from me because I got a window clean on the
Totally understood. And frankly, part of the Rethink Disposable project is an audit of the existing business operation, and typically businesses see at least a 35% savings in the first year. So that's not insignificant based on volume. So, and that's only focused on restaurants. Like I said, with the recognition program, that will expand to all of the opportunities and ventures that we have in town. So and certainly we can do that audit, we can provide that to businesses, we can make that part of the program, and then you can proudly display the claim saying, yeah, I'm also doing this, but I'm saving money too. You know that, right? And the customers know that we're looking forward.
Great. Yeah, thank you for recognizing that. To the parking committee, besides all the garage issues, we need to address what we call the short-term issues. This coming Christmas season, the following season, before a garage was even built, we're still having a lot of issues with parking. We would like, if you guys are willing to meet with the RBBA parking committee, contains myself, Mike, the architect. We have a lot of knowledge on the parking needs in town on a smaller basis, and we'd like to sit with maps and go over the existing parking inventory and decide maybe some spots can be 2-hour for shorter term use, maybe we can move around some spots. It would get the borough more turnover and more money in the parking if we can do that, and might get a better shared use, so we'd love to see that done. As far as the garage, you guys all know my position. I think that it was just restated very, very well. We would love to see people on this side working with these guys a lot better, and all the political footballing go away, and wait until the proposals have been narrowed down and refined before saying yes or no, please. We get it when you say no at the end and they've edited it all they can, but please wait until you've seen the final edits before we decide if we like these proposals or not.
Thank you. Anthony.
Just to change gears back to what's important, as much as I think sandwich boards and signs and windows are very exciting, I want to basically say that what Jim said in Ingeborg is 100% correct. For 20 years in some type of capacity, from retail to a partnership in real estate, and now a magazine that goes all over the state. And I have to tell you, for 20 years I've been hearing that the residents of this town and certain politicians have stated that it's extremely irresponsible to make the residents responsible for the garage and maybe bonding and taxing and things that they're afraid of. So we put up an RFP. We have 5 amazing plans now that people are very excited about, and I really believe not only should we hear them out, as far as the 500 net new and everything else. They want to do exciting things, which, again, after 20 years and going all over the state with Industry Magazine, what's happening right now with these plans is the natural progression to the town. And it's extremely irresponsible to discount all 5 of them, especially the night that RFP comes out to say that the Democratic side of the council is saying they don't even want to hear it because it's not going to happen. And they basically have stated publicly that they're going to act as a unit, which I think is borderline illegal, to say that they're not even going to listen to anything they have to say. To what? To make all 5 people go away with this mystery plan that somebody's behind to bring back a garage that a developer chosen by someone mysterious is going to bring in, and the town is supposed to lease it from him, which will put the residents at risk. I can't even believe what I'm hearing. It's actually bizarre if you think about it. And it's really arrogant. And the truth is, we should not only listen to these developers, we should pick one of them. We should make one of the developers do exactly what we need as far as infrastructure and 500 net new, which I agree River Center should be the minimum. And we should really cut this political stuff out because it's disgusting. And the truth is, you have people struggling every day to make a living, whether they're selling coffee, a sandwich, dresses, and to talk about this political nonsense is embarrassing. I'm actually embarrassed to be part of this town after 20 years. And anybody who doesn't want to hear these 5 developers and have 300 residences built and infrastructure problems solved and parking actually is going to help all of us stay in business amidst tremendous competition from all types. I'm not even going to mention them, so I don't want them in the press, but there's 7 projects going on around us trying to take our businesses away. They're actually approaching our business owners and offering them money to leave. And all we need is a parking garage that would, and we have the perfect situation right now. We have developers. You're lucky you have 5 people that want to do the kind of development that they want to do. So I really hope that the mayor especially makes the right decision, because he's obviously the vote that's going to change everything, and I really support Mayor Menner, and I think he's been a fabulous mayor, and I think he's going to make the right decision. And as far as anybody who doesn't vote for this, you should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself if you don't vote for these developers. Good night.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Ned Gaunt. I'm the chairman of River Center last year. And when I first got involved with River Center back around 1990-91, we took a poll as to what was the most important thing that we needed to accomplish in the ongoings of River Center. And the unanimous vote was that we needed more parking. So after 25 years, we are at a point where we have an opportunity to meet that goal that we talked about 25 years ago. Actually, in talking to people that have lived here in Red Bank for a long period of time, they say that 25 years is not accurate. It's been a lot longer than that where we've been looking for improvements to the parking. The parking garage, some people are concerned that it's a large structure and it's not something that Red Bank should look at. But Red Bank has grown significantly in the last 25 years. I think it's come to the point where it can certainly substantiate this type of a development, and it certainly will improve the opportunities for people coming into town to be able to park easily and shop easily, and it's going to improve the value of all of the stores in the downtown, not the least of which will increase the tax base for the town. We strongly recommend that we do not let this opportunity go by without making a positive decision. And I think the number of cars that we're asking for has been, from the beginning, what we think is a reasonable number. We've been told by parking officials, parking experts, that it's certainly a conservative number. So it is a number. People want to bargain with us. We are not ready to bargain. we feel that the 500 is something that we absolutely need, and we urge you all to agree. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ben Mars, 16 Locust Avenue. You already answered the one question, no more updates. But one of the things that keeps recurring here that kind of I've mentioned in the past, but one of the reasons I'd like to bring some closure to this and a decision sooner rather than later is that there's these, even in the letter I believe the River Center read tonight, there was, or I don't know if it was a letter or it was unofficial. We've heard that some of the developers are going to make changes in their plans. And so what alarms me a little bit is just that all this sort of dialogue happening without it happening here. And one of the reasons I don't go privately to you and ask Michael, which I have your phone number, I could say, Michael, what's going on? I really think that this is such an important decision that really needs to be grounded here in full view of the town and not just, one community or another community. So all the residents and all the businesses and everybody really sees the details. Will Drummond Place continue to exist? What's the deal going to be? And all this time's going by, and these circulations, rumors, some of which are not true, and some things appear to be true. Developers are meeting directly with people in town, I guess, not with me. Although the business community's reached out to me, and I've appreciated it, and I've learned a lot from my interactions with the business community, both RBBA and River Center. But that is, I'm continue to be concerned about the public process here. It's an important town asset. This will change the town in a lot of ways, or not, if we don't go for it. And the closer to the political election we get, the more likely it is we're going to get political decisions as opposed to the best interest of the town reflected, although that may not be the case. I have a lot of faith in all of you, actually. So I'm hoping to get this wrapped up, and I just wanted to remind everyone the importance of having all the details and everything out here on the table so that we can all absorb it and say this is a good deal. And I still think that if it's such a great deal, that probably will win over some votes if this project turns out to be a great idea. Now, I am on board with there is a parking crisis in town. I've seen it, I've videoed it, I've lived it for a long time. Many of my fellow residents don't agree with me, but they're just wrong. So, and I'll leave it at that.
Good evening, I'm Valerie O'Fiero from Front Street Charleria, 31 West Front Street. I've been in town for 32 plus years. I'm a small business owner amongst a lot of other small business owners. Since the day I opened up, I've heard nothing but problems with our parking. Hence, 32 years later, it's an even bigger problem. When we opened up, there were only a handful of restaurants. Now there are a tremendous amount, which creates more of a parking problem. Compromising to 500 net new spots is just a drop in the bucket. So I urge you, please consider the small business owners, the building owners, and everybody else in town that can benefit from this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dorothy. You can always say that I agree with the previous person that spoke.
Dorothy Ferlante, owner of Pino's Palette on Broad Street, and I just say I really do support the parking proposals and urge you to work together to find the right one for our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. Keep campaigning.
Good evening. I'd like to begin by thanking Kathy and Ed for their good words about welcoming the community and about the marches that I was happy to participate in. As other speakers have said, this issue of parking inventory has been going on a long, long time. Everyone knows that. Everyone understands the politics of it. I'd like to begin that discussion by, can you hear me now? By thanking Michael Whalen for bringing this to the surface, by getting us this far, by soliciting, obviously all of you solicited the RFPs, but I think Michael was out front. I think the mayor has done a terrific job at trying to get everyone on the same page, and so I applaud both of them and the rest of you. 500 net new spaces is essential. Now, I know, first let me say, you all know that I'm an investor in commercial property in town. I have enough parking for my buildings and for my tenants, but I recognize that the town can't be what it is unless everybody has available parking. It's not enough. If there are 500 net new spaces, it's going to help every business in town, which will help my properties as well. It helps all of us. But having said all that as a preface, I have some really great news tonight, and I hope that the 7 of you focus on it and react to it. It may even present a way for those who have suggested they're opposed to any of the 5 proposals to climb on board. River Center has had a number of discussions with Roger Mumford, who's one of the developers that have responded to your RFP. Roger came to us a couple of months ago. He wanted our input, he wanted our ideas, he wanted to know what's important to us and what was our perception of what was important to the 7 of you. And we sat with Roger for an hour. He called 2 days later, said, can I come back and have another hour? He came back and modified his plan, and subsequent to that, we have had numerous conversations with him leading up to a meeting this afternoon that Jim Scavone and I attended. Roger has great respect for what we want and great respect for what you want, and I mean all 7 of you. I'm about to lay out what he is willing to do to modify his plan. And he's going to respond.
About that.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, sir, that's not really appropriate for you to advocate on behalf of developers with an ongoing RFP process. You're more than welcome to say whatever you want, but
okay,
I'm not going to instruct the council not to answer.
So if
Mr. Herman knows we can't respond.
You know the council can't respond.
I understand you can't respond.
It's a meeting, you can say whatever you want.
I understand. So if a developer, and I should say before I go forward, that we're not here saying pick Roger. We're saying that Roger's willing to satisfy what all of us want. If someone else can do that, fine, pick someone else, but achieve what we want. He is willing to provide 500 net new spaces, to build the garage first closest to Broad Street, to have Drummond Place as a through street from White to Monmouth, and to separate, here's the key, separate the 2 private properties that he's agreed to purchase and he's talked to you about as a phase 2, and in phase 1, he would seek only to build 100 residences on the western end of the present White Street lot. That, together with the garage with 500 net new spaces. Now, he will tell you, and I will tell you, that he would love to do phase 2 on the 2 private properties and to add more rentals there. But he's willing to commit to build the garage if you'll approve 100 units. The height of the buildings, originally he was looking for 12 stories.
Okay, you're at 3.5 minutes, so let's wrap it up.
He's willing to have the garage and the rentals, if he gets to build them, at 5 to 6 stories, and the 100 units that would be in phase 1 to be 8 stories, plus with a tiny crown on top in the center that you couldn't even see from the street. So speaking to the Democrats who've been concerned about density and height, he answers those questions. This, I think, is an opportunity, whether it's Roger or someone else who says, me too, this is an opportunity for all of you to win, for all of you to come together to get a lesser density, less height, satisfy the 500 net new spaces. In conclusion, I understand that there are other good developers, but if they're not willing to provide the 500 net new, the lower density, the lower height, then go with Roger. If they are willing to do it, then go with them. We don't care which developer it is, but there's no reason not to solve the problem when you're being offered an opportunity to get 500 net new, to have a very handsome development from a very competent developer. So I appeal to you, the mayor, as the team leader, to maybe get everyone on the same page. And if the Dems are interested in this and want to talk further about it, I'm certainly available. All of us at River Center are.
Thank you.
But we appreciate your listening, and we hope for a great result.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Linda? No, the gentleman in the back will wave to the lady in the front.
I don't know if I'm going to be heard, but I'll attempt.
Oh, you're always heard,
Okay.
honey.
Linda Cohen. I live at 28 Riverside Avenue in Red Bank, and I own a business on Broad Street. And what I...
Plug for your business.
No.
It's
I
a
know
good
everybody's
store.
already plugged in. But anyway, what I want to say is that, of course, I agree with everything that's been said here before, but from the point of view of a resident, I walk the streets here frequently. I love walking the streets here, and I think that it's going to make an enormous difference if we have more housing in town, where people can be more embedded in our businesses, walk to these wonderful restaurants that we're lucky enough to have, and the entertainment venue that we should be very proud of. And the stores here in town really need the customers. Unfortunately, we're not getting enough of Red Bank's customers to sustain, and this is an opportunity that we really need, and we are at a tipping point now. Time is of the essence, and it's really important to really pay attention to this moment in time, because moments don't last forever. So I appeal to everybody here to please consider this very, very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? Last but not least.
You already got your proclamation.
Don't say good afternoon, it's evening already.
Bill Fox, 207-4. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank the Chief of Police for sending the officers out for the block party. Done a wonderful job. And I also want to thank the street department. The sweeper came up several times and swept, and the street was clean, very nice. One thing my uncle told me to ask you tonight, he spoke to you about, he lives over here in the apartments over here.
Which apartments over here?
The big Verizon apartment right here, senior citizen.
Wesley Arms?
Oh, the Wall Street, okay.
Yeah. And he said he had spoke to you, and the young lady said she's sent Stanley letters a couple of times. The garbage truck comes over there early in the morning.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they were supposed to be addressing that because we do have an ordinance that regulates what time that they come. Are they still not adhering to it?
Yes, my uncle told me the garbage truck's still coming there early in the morning, and you know, waking them
Yeah,
up.
we do have an ordinance, and they were already sent a notice to reminding them to tell their quarter that, you know, they can't be there before a certain hour.
Yes, this restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll just let him know.
Yeah, so if they're in violation, we'll follow up with them, but they were sent a notice already.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, there is a motion to retire to executive session for purposes of personnel, contract negotiations, and litigation.